Let me ask you something. When you hear the term high-value woman, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it someone with a skyrocketing career, a flawless Instagram feed, or a life that seems to effortlessly check all the boxes of success? Maybe you imagine her as someone who's always put together, with a designer wardrobe, a perfect relationship, and a smile that never falters. But what if I told you it's none of those things? What if I told you that being a high-value woman has nothing to do with the external markers of success and everything to do with what's on the inside? Here's the truth. A high-value woman isn't defined by her job title, her bank account, or even her appearance. She's not defined by the number of followers she has or the accolades she's collected. No, a high-value woman is defined by who she is, her character, her mindset, and the way she moves through the world. And today, I'm going to share with you the surprising, often overlooked traits that make her truly stand out. These are the qualities that don't just make her magnetic but also inspire those around her to rise to their own potential. You see, being a high-value woman isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's about knowing your worth, not because of what you've achieved, but because of how you treat yourself and others. It's about having the courage to set boundaries, the wisdom to walk away from what doesn't serve you, and the grace to embrace your imperfections. It's about being unapologetically yourself in a world that's constantly trying to tell you who you should be. So, what are these traits that set a high-value woman apart? Let's dive in. First, she knows her worth. Not in an arrogant way, but in a way that radiates quiet confidence. She doesn't seek validation from others because she's already validated herself. She understands that her value isn't tied to her relationship status, her job, or her looks. It's tied to her integrity, her kindness, and her ability to stay true to herself, even when it's hard. Second, she's emotionally intelligent. She doesn't just react. She responds. She's in tune with her emotions and isn't afraid to sit with them, process them, and grow from them. She doesn't let her feelings control her, but she also doesn't suppress them. Instead, she uses them as a tool to connect with others on a deeper level. This emotional maturity allows her to navigate relationships with empathy and understanding, making her a magnet for meaningful connections. Third, she's a lifelong learner. A high-value woman is curious, always seeking to expand her knowledge and grow as a person. She's not afraid to admit when she doesn't know something, and she's always open to new perspectives. She understands that growth is a journey, not a destination, and she embraces every opportunity to learn, whether it's from books, experiences, or the people around her. Fourth, she's resilient. Life doesn't always go her way, but she doesn't let setbacks define her. Instead, she uses them as stepping stones to become stronger and wiser. She knows that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. And when she falls, she doesn't stay down. She gets back up, dusts herself off, and keeps moving forward with even more determination. Finally, a high-value woman is generous. Not just with her time or resources, but with her energy. She uplifts others, celebrates their successes, and isn't threatened by their achievements. She knows that there's enough room for everyone to shine, and she's secure enough to be a source of light for others. So the next time you hear the term high-value woman, I hope you think of these traits. I hope you see her as someone who's not defined by what she has, but by who she is. And more importantly, I hope you see these qualities in yourself. Because the truth is, being a high-value woman isn't about being perfect. It's about being real, being kind, and being unafraid to embrace your own worth. And that's something we can all aspire to. But before we dive in, let me hit you with this. What if I told you that the most high-value women aren't the ones who are always chasing perfection? What if I told you that the women who truly stand out, who leave an indelible mark on the world and the people around them, are the ones who've mastered the art of embracing their imperfections? Sounds surprising, maybe even a little counterintuitive, right? After all, we live in a world that constantly tells us to be more, do more, and have more. We're bombarded with images of perfect lives, flawless careers, picture-perfect relationships, and bodies that seem to defy gravity. But here's the thing. Perfection is an illusion. And the women who understand this, who've learned to embrace their flaws and turn them into strengths, are the ones who truly shine. Stick with me because by the end of this, you're not just going to understand what makes a high-value woman truly extraordinary. You're going to see how these traits can completely transform the way you think about value, self-worth, and what it means to live a truly fulfilling life. This isn't just about recognizing these qualities in others. It's about recognizing them in yourself. It's about realizing that you don't have to be perfect to be powerful, that you don't have to have it all figured out to be worthy, and that your value isn't something you earn. It's something you already possess. Let's start by unpacking this idea of perfection. Why do so many of us chase it? Why do we tie our worth to how close we can get to some unattainable standard? The truth is, perfection is exhausting. It's a never-ending race where the finish line keeps moving. And the women who figured this out, the ones who've stopped running that race, are the ones who've unlocked a different kind of power. They've realized that their imperfections aren't weaknesses. They're what make them human. They've learned to laugh at their mistakes, to grow from their failures, and to see their flaws as part of their unique story. And that's where true confidence comes from. Not from being flawless, but from being authentically, unapologetically yourself. Now, let's talk about what really sets these women apart. It's not their looks, their job titles, or their social media presence. It's their mindset. A high-value woman knows that her worth isn't tied to external validation. She doesn't need someone else to tell her she's enough because she already knows it. She's secure in who she is, and that security radiates out into everything she does. It's in the way she carries herself, the way she speaks, and the way she treats others. She's not competing with anyone because she's too busy becoming the best version of herself. But here's the thing. This kind of confidence doesn't come overnight. It's built through small intentional choices every single day. It's choosing to speak kindly to yourself, even when you make a mistake. It's setting boundaries and sticking to them, even when it's uncomfortable. It's investing in your growth, whether that's through reading, learning, or surrounding yourself with people who inspire you. A high-value woman understands that self-worth is a practice, not a destination. And she's committed to that practice, no matter how messy it gets. Another trait that sets her apart? Emotional intelligence. A high-value woman isn't just smart. She's emotionally savvy. She knows how to navigate her own feelings and the feelings of others with grace and empathy. She doesn't shy away from difficult conversations because she understands that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. She's the kind of person who can sit with you in your darkest moments and make you feel seen, heard, and understood. And that's a rare and beautiful thing. But perhaps the most surprising thing about a high-value woman is her resilience. Life doesn't always go her way. In fact, it often throws her curveballs. But instead of letting those challenges break her, she uses them as fuel to grow stronger. She knows that failure isn't the end of the road. It's just a detour. And when she falls, she doesn't stay down. She gets back up, learns from the experience, and keeps moving forward. That resilience, that ability to turn setbacks into comebacks, is what makes her unstoppable. And let's not forget her generosity. A high-value woman isn't just focused on her own success. She's committed to lifting others up along the way. She's the kind of person who celebrates your wins as if they were her own, who offers a helping hand without expecting anything in return, and who knows that true abundance comes from giving, not taking. She understands that there's enough success, love, and joy to go around, and she's not afraid to share it. So, what does all of this mean for you? It means that being a high-value woman isn't about having a perfect life or meeting some impossible standard. It's about embracing who you are, flaws and all, and committing to your own growth and happiness. It's about knowing your worth, not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you are at your core. And it's about living a life that's authentic, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. By the time we're done here, you're not just going to understand what makes a high-value woman extraordinary. You're going to see how you can embody those traits in your own life. You're going to realize that you don't have to be perfect to be powerful, that your imperfections are what make you unique, and that your value isn't something you have to prove. It's something you already are. So, are you ready to see yourself in a whole new light? Let's dive in. Let's start with the first trait. And this one might catch you off guard. A high-value woman isn't afraid to walk away. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or a situation that no longer serves her, she knows her worth isn't tied to staying where she's not valued. She understands that staying in something that drains her, diminishes her, or disrespects her isn't loyalty, it's self-betrayal. And she refuses to betray herself. Think about that for a moment. How many of us stay in situations, relationships, friendships, even habits, because we're afraid of what's on the other side? We stay because it's familiar, because we've invested time, or because we're scared of being alone, of failing, or of starting over. But a high-value woman? She's not afraid of the unknown. In fact, she thrives in it. Because she knows that walking away isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It's a declaration that she values herself too much to settle for less than she deserves. Let's break this down further. Walking away isn't just about leaving. It's about choosing yourself. It's about looking at a situation and saying, this no longer aligns with who I am or who I want to become. It's about having the courage to let go of what's comfortable in order to make space for what's meaningful. And here's the thing. Walking away doesn't mean she doesn't care. It doesn't mean she's heartless or cold. In fact, it often means the opposite. It means she cares so deeply about her own well-being and growth that she's willing to make the hard choice. Take relationships, for example. A high-value woman doesn't stay in a relationship where she's not cherished, respected, or valued. She doesn't stick around hoping someone will change or that things will magically get better. She knows that love isn't about fixing someone or sacrificing herself to keep the peace. Love, to her, is about mutual respect, growth, and partnership. And if those elements are missing, she's not afraid to walk away. Even if it hurts, even if it's scary, even if it means being alone for a while. Because she knows that being alone is better than being with someone who makes her feel lonely. The same goes for her career. A high-value woman doesn't stay in a job that stifles her creativity, undervalues her contributions, or makes her dread Mondays. She's not afraid to pivot, to take a risk, or to start over if it means pursuing something that aligns with her passions and purpose. She knows that her time and energy are precious, and she refuses to waste them on something that doesn't light her up. And let's not forget friendships. A high-value woman isn't afraid to distance herself from people who drain her energy, gossip behind her back, or don't celebrate her wins. She understands that not every friendship is meant to last forever, and that's okay. She'd rather have a small circle of genuine supportive friends than a large group of people who don't truly see or appreciate her. But here's the real kicker. Walking away isn't just about leaving something behind. It's about stepping into something greater. It's about creating space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new versions of yourself. A high-value woman knows that every time she walks away from something that doesn't serve her, she's one step closer to finding what does. She trusts the process, even when it's messy. She believes in her ability to rebuild, to reinvent, and to thrive, no matter what. And that's just the first trait. The second one? Even more surprising. Because it's not about what she does or doesn't do. It's about how she thinks. A high-value woman has a growth mindset. She doesn't see challenges as roadblocks. She sees them as opportunities to learn and grow. She doesn't dwell on failures. She uses them as stepping stones to success. And she doesn't compare herself to others because she's too busy becoming the best version of herself. But we'll get to that in a moment. For now, let this sink in. Walking away isn't easy. It takes courage, self-awareness, and a deep sense of self-worth. But it's also one of the most empowering things you can do. It's a statement to the world, and to yourself, that you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. And that, my friend, is the mark of a truly high-value woman. So, ask yourself, where in your life do you need to walk away? What are you holding on to that's holding you back? And more importantly, what could be waiting for you on the other side if you had the courage to let go? Trait number 2. A high-value woman doesn't seek validation. She validates herself. She doesn't need someone else to tell her she's enough. She already knows it. She doesn't wait for applause, likes, or compliments to feel good about who she is. She doesn't measure her worth by how many people approve of her choices, her appearance, or her achievements. Instead, she looks inward. She finds her confidence, her strength, and her sense of self-worth from within. And that, my friend, is what sets her apart. Now, I know what you're thinking. Asterisk, easier said than done, right? Asterisk, how do you get to a place where you don't care what others think? How do you silence that inner critic that whispers, "You're not good enough," or asterisk, "What will people say?" Asterisk, how do you stop seeking validation when we live in a world that's constantly telling us to prove our worth? It's not easy, I'll give you that. But here's the thing. It's not about being perfect or never doubting yourself. It's not about waking up one day and suddenly having it all figured out. It's about choosing to believe in your own worth, even on the days when it feels hard. Even when the world tries to tell you otherwise. Even when you stumble, fall, or feel like you're not enough. And that's a game changer. Let's break this down. Seeking validation is something we all do, whether we realize it or not. We post a photo and wait for the likes to roll in. We share an accomplishment and hope others will acknowledge it. We make decisions based on what we think will make others happy, rather than what truly aligns with our own values and desires. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting to be seen or appreciated, the problem arises when we start to depend on that external validation to feel good about ourselves. When we start to believe that our worth is tied to what others think of us. That's when we lose ourselves. That's when we give away our power. A high-value woman doesn't do that. She doesn't give her power away. She takes it back. She understands that her worth isn't something someone else can give or take away. It's something she carries within her, always. She knows that no amount of external validation can fill the void if she doesn't already believe in herself. So, she makes a conscious choice to validate herself. To be her own biggest cheerleader. To celebrate her wins, no matter how small. To speak kindly to herself, even when she makes mistakes. To remind herself, daily, that she is enough, just as she is. But how does she get there? How does she cultivate that kind of self-assurance? It starts with self-awareness. A high-value woman takes the time to understand herself. Her strengths, her weaknesses, her values, and her dreams. She knows who she is and what she stands for, and she doesn't let anyone else's opinions shake that foundation. She also practices self-compassion. She doesn't beat herself up for her flaws or her failures. Instead, she treats herself with the same kindness and understanding she would offer a friend. She reminds herself that she's human, that she's allowed to make mistakes, and that every misstep is an opportunity to learn and grow. Another key part of self-validation is setting boundaries. A high-value woman knows that she can't pour from an empty cup. She prioritizes her own well-being and isn't afraid to say no to things that drain her or don't align with her values. She doesn't people-please or sacrifice her own needs to make others happy. Instead, she honors herself by setting clear, healthy boundaries. And she sticks to them. This isn't selfish. It's self-respect. And it's a crucial part of building a strong sense of self-worth. But here's the real secret. Self-validation isn't a one-time thing. It's a practice. It's something you have to work on every single day. Some days, it'll feel easy. You'll wake up feeling confident, empowered, and ready to take on the world. Other days, it'll feel like a struggle. You'll doubt yourself, compare yourself to others, and wonder if you're doing enough. And that's okay. A high-value woman doesn't expect to feel confident all the time. What she does expect is to keep showing up for herself, no matter how she feels. To keep choosing herself, even when it's hard. To keep reminding herself of her worth, even when the world tries to tell her otherwise. And here's the beautiful thing. When you stop seeking validation from others and start validating yourself, everything changes. You become more confident, more authentic, and more resilient. You stop living for other people's approval and start living for yourself. You stop shrinking to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be and start stepping into the fullness of who you are. And that's when you truly begin to shine. So, how do you start? Begin by paying attention to the stories you tell yourself. Are they kind? Are they true? Or are they filled with self-doubt and criticism? Challenge those negative thoughts. Replace them with affirmations that remind you of your worth. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you, not those who tear you down or make you question your value. And most importantly, practice self-compassion. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate your progress no matter how small. And remember, you don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You just have to be you. Because here's the truth. You are enough. Not because of what you've achieved, what you look like, or what anyone else thinks of you. You are enough simply because you exist. And when you truly believe that, when you validate yourself, when you choose yourself, when you stand firmly in your own worth, that's when you become unstoppable. That's when you become a high-value woman. And that's the kind of power no one can take away from you. And finally, the third trait, the one that ties it all together. A high-value woman invests in herself. But let's be clear. This isn't about superficial self-care or fleeting trends. It's not just about buying the right skincare products, dressing to impress, or climbing the corporate ladder. No, her investment runs much deeper than that. She invests in her growth. Her emotional, intellectual, and spiritual growth. She reads books that challenge her perspective, listens to podcasts that expand her mind, and seeks out experiences that push her out of her comfort zone. She's curious about the world and her place in it, always asking questions, always learning, always evolving. Think about it. How often do we get so caught up in the day-to-day grind that we forget to nurture our own potential? How often do we put everyone else's needs before our own, leaving little time or energy for self-discovery? A high-value woman doesn't fall into that trap. She knows that investing in herself isn't selfish. It's essential. It's how she becomes the best version of herself, not just for her own sake, but for the people and the world around her. She understands that growth isn't a luxury. It's a responsibility. And she takes that responsibility seriously. She reads, not just for entertainment, but for enlightenment. Whether it's a memoir that inspires her, a self-help book that challenges her, or a novel that transports her to another world, she knows that every book has something to teach her. She learns, not just in formal settings, but in everyday life. She's always observing, always reflecting, always asking, asterisk, what can I take from this experience? Asterisk, she explores, not just new places, but new ideas, new perspectives, and new ways of being. She's not afraid to step into the unknown because she knows that's where growth happens. But here's the thing. Her investment in herself isn't just about acquiring knowledge or skills. It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity and resilience. It's about embracing the idea that she's a work in progress, and that's okay. She doesn't expect to have all the answers or to be perfect. Instead, she focuses on progress, not perfection. She celebrates her small wins, learns from her mistakes, and keeps moving forward, one step at a time. And let's not forget the most important part. Her investment in herself is ongoing. It's not something she does once and checks off her list. It's a lifelong commitment. She knows that growth doesn't have an expiration date, and she's always looking for ways to improve, to evolve, and to become more of who she truly is. Whether it's taking a course, attending a workshop, or simply spending time in self-reflection, she's always finding ways to invest in her own potential. Because here's the secret. A high-value woman isn't born, she's made. She's made through her choices, her actions, and her mindset. She's made through the daily decisions to prioritize herself, to believe in herself, and to grow into the woman she knows she's capable of becoming. She's made through the courage to walk away from what doesn't serve her, the strength to validate herself, and the commitment to invest in her own growth. And the best part? These traits aren't exclusive. They're not reserved for a select few. They're available to anyone. Yes, anyone, willing to embrace them. So, what does that mean for you? It means that becoming a high-value woman isn't about where you start or what you have. It's about what you choose to do with what you've been given. It's about the small intentional steps you take every day to honor yourself, to grow, and to live a life that's true to who you are. It's about recognizing that you have the power to define your own worth, and then doing the work to live up to it. And here's the most exciting part. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to have it all figured out right now. You just have to start. Start by walking away from what no longer serves you. Start by validating yourself, even when it feels hard. Start by investing in your growth, one book, one lesson, one experience at a time. Because the truth is, you already have everything you need to become a high-value woman. You just have to believe it, and then take the first step. So, what are you waiting for? The journey to becoming the best version of yourself starts today. And trust me, it's a journey worth taking. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on more content like this. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What trait of a high-value woman inspires you the most? Let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, remember, you are enough, and your growth matters. See you soon.